Hi everyone, it's Aaron here from Pi Supply, and I'm here to do the Virtual LoRaWAN Wall of Fame. I didn't unfortunately have enough space in my house for a massive wall to attach all this stuff to, but I have got a bunch of products, as you can see on the table here in front of me, and I'm effectively just going to do a show and tell, give you a bit of info about what we do and the products that we've got, and then a load more info I'll put in the links below the video. So if you want to find out more about specific products, find out more technical information that doesn't fit into this 15-minute segment, then you can find those later on. So let's get started. So this product here is the first product we made for LoRa, which is the LoRa Gateway Hat. So hats are basically add-ons for Raspberry Pis, stands for hardware attached on top. I think it was a backronym, they just liked the idea of a hat, so they called it that and then made it hardware attached on top. But yeah, so this converts your Raspberry Pi into a full 8-channel gateway. So this is the 868 megahertz version, so for Europe and UK. So yeah, basically this is the hat. As you can see, it's got the 40-pin header there. So it's compatible with any 40-pin Raspberry Pi. So that's the zeros, 0W, and then anything from B plus onwards, including the A plus, 3B, 2B, 4B, all of those with 40-pin header. So this uses a Rack 833 MPCIe LoRa module. Now on the newer versions we use a Rack 2247, but it's essentially the same thing, 8-channel gateway using the Semtech SX1301 LoRa chip on there. So yeah, that you saw me just plug it back in there, that just literally slots in and then clips into place like that. So it's super easy to use. You've got a header here which you can add a GPS for location data. And other than that, it's just plug and play. It's got an EEPROM on there for auto config with the Raspberry Pi hat spec, and yeah, you plug it in and we've got a really neat piece of software, which is like the gateway management software, kind of like a router backend, you know, like a wireless router backend. Just enables you to configure everything to do with the gateway, get it set up and sending to the Things network, or wherever else you want to send data to. So yeah, it's just a case of downloading the software image, and you can be up and running in minutes with a full-featured 8-channel Raspberry Pi gateway. So that's that retails for £130, which is about 145-ish euro. Or 150-ish dollars. So yeah, it's a really nice product. And with all of these products, the whole idea behind them when we were developing them was to reduce the barriers to entry of LoRa. So reduce the cost and reduce the time to market, or time to, you know, get it all set up basically. So that's really what we've tried to do with the software and the hardware, is make it so that you can just buy it, plug it on, and it's as cheap and easy to set up as we can possibly make it. So yeah, that's the gateway hat. I'll put that to one side. And then next up, we've got another Raspberry Pi product, which is the LoRa Node FAT, as you can see there. So this is called a FAT, so hardware attached on top. The P stands for Pico. It's basically just a smaller version of a Raspberry Pi hat, but still conforms to the same spec and uses the same header. So that's the board there. So you can see it uses a Rack 811 LoRa chip there, system on a module really. And yeah, it's got the 40-pin header. So this header, you can see, is super low profile. If you pair that with a Raspberry Pi Zero, and this is the same outline as a Raspberry Pi Zero, 65 by 30 millimeters, so quite small, you can then just plug this on top of the Pi Zero's header, and I think it will sit about 4 millimeters away, so it'll be a super, super small LoRa node with that together. We've also got in the box, a bunch of accessories and mounting hardware and stickers and everything like that. But you'll see we've got this header. So basically, with the full-size Raspberry Pis, there are components in the way that would stop you from mounting this on top of it. So what you have to do is put this stacking header on, slots in to the header there, and then that just gives it a little bit of a higher profile, which just enables you to plug it on top of the Pi 3, Pi 4, Pi 2, one of those bigger Raspberry Pis that isn't the Zero. Now, it still is only about 10 millimeters away from the Pi, so it's not exactly a massive difference, but just not quite as low profile as with the Pi Zero. So let's take that out again. You can see it's quite stiff to get out, which is good because it means that when it's connected, it gets a really good connection. So you can also see on here, we've got a header. That's an I2C header. So you can connect, that basically just connects through to the Raspberry Pi's I2C interface. If you want to, you can, we have a I2C GPS that you'll be able to connect in there for position data, or you can just connect any I2C sensor or device and use that breakout header instead of the Raspberry Pi's 40-pin GPIO. So just a neat little add-on there, really. Now, you'll see we've included this, which is an external antenna. On the board, we actually have an internal antenna, as you can see at the bottom there. But obviously, the range is not as good as an external antenna. So we provide with it this RPSMA antenna and an adapter to convert it to a UFL IPEX connection. So that screws in there, and then this just pops onto there, and you've got an external antenna. Now you'll also see on the board you've got the thing saying ext and int. So what that is you need to move an inductor between those pads to change it from the internal to the external antenna. So when you receive this, it will be configured to use the internal antenna. And if you want to use an external antenna, you just move the inductor from the int pad to the ext pad, and that changes it to use the external antenna. So that's the LoRaWAN Node FAT. As I said, we'll put loads of information in the links below the video in case you have any questions or anything like that. I'll just pack this all away quickly, and then we'll move on to the next product. Next up, we have the LoRaWAN Node Shield, which is for Arduino. So this is very similar to the Raspberry Pi hat that I just showed, the Raspberry Pi Node FAT that I just showed you. The only difference being that it comes with a header for the Arduino. So this is compatible with Arduino Mega, Arduino Nano, and Arduino Uno. So I'll just get this out of the box. So you can see it's got the header for the Uno on the bottom, and you can stack other shields on top. And then you can see there it's got the header for the Arduino Nano as well, if you want to use that instead for a smaller platform. So yeah, very similar. It uses the RAC811, has the internal and external antenna capability. So very similar to the Raspberry Pi board I just showed you, just configured to use for Arduino instead. Still comes with all the mounting hardware, bunch of stickers as well, so feel free to stick those on your laptop or iPad or something like that. So last but by no means least in the LoRa range that we've got is the MicroBit LoRa Node. So some of you might not have heard of MicroBit before. If you haven't, it was a small single-board computer platform developed by the BBC here in the UK, and it was developed to help kids get into coding and physical computing and just learning about electronics, things like that. So I think when they originally launched them, they sent out 1 million free to schools, and then since then, it's just similar to a Raspberry Pi. It's a super cheap and easy to get up and running with single-board computer platform for learning. However, being a cheap computer, it also has a load of other use cases, and people are using it for all sorts of different things. So we thought, a great platform to get LoRa onto, not just to get kids using it and people learning LoRa, reduce the barriers to entry, as I said earlier, but also as a super easy and cheap dev platform, so that if you want to create a proof of concept product based around LoRa radio, then you can use the MicroBit, and it's super quick to get up and running. So let me just grab everything out here. Again, very similar to the LoRa Node Shield I just showed you for Arduino and the LoRa Node FAT. It uses the rack 811 system on a module there, and again has a I2C header for connecting other sensors like a GPS, like our GPS, and the external and internal antenna as well. So that's the board. I'll grab a MicroBit out here. So this is a MicroBit Go kit. Basically what that means is it comes with the battery pack. So you can see the MicroBit here, super small, little single board computer there, and then that's all the components and stuff on the back. And then in here, under this little flap, we've got a battery pack, a USB cable, which we don't need now, and some AAA batteries. So you plug them in, pop that into that connector there, and you can be running this off batteries using LoRa. So this would then, at the bottom here, this lovely little connector is actually what they call an edge connector. So that itself is the interface to the board. So you just slot that into our edge connector there, and that is a LoRa node using the BBC MicroBit. Now, the MicroBit can be programmed using Microsoft MakeCode, which is like a Blockly style, like Scratch, if you've ever heard of Scratch, drag and drop block-based coding interface. But you can also program it in MicroPython and a few other languages as well. So it's super easy to get up and running. If you want to use the block-based one, we've got a library for the LoRa board for the block-based language, Microsoft MakeCode. Again, I'll stick all the info in the links and stuff, but it just enables you to get up and running super easily. And you can do that all in the browser. You can drag and drop, get it all up and running in the browser, including accessing the sensors on the board. And you can then literally drag and drop a hex file in your file system onto the MicroBit, and it programs it up in literally seconds. So a super easy one to use there. So again, as I've said probably too many times now, the whole concept behind all of these products is just getting up and running as quickly as you possibly can with LoRa, and getting a proof of concept. That's been our idea behind this the whole time. So the nodes, they sell for £30, so about €35, $37 maybe. So all of them are that price. And again, it's just got a wealth of documentation, technical info, code, and all sorts of different examples and getting started guides we've got available for you so that you can get up and running super quickly. So next up, we've got a bunch of accessories for our LoRa products, which I wanted to show you. They don't directly, any of them do LoRa, but they're just boards and cases that you can use with our LoRa products to add value basically, and to add functionality and make them more useful. So let me just move all these to one side. So to start with, you can see we've got the Nebra IP67 outdoor case. Now, Nebra Limited, for those of you who don't know, is our parent company of Pi Supply. Pi Supply is the maker and hobbyist brand that sits underneath it. And then more recently, sort of industrial and more generic products we've been putting under the Nebra brand, effectively as a sort of more grown-up brand, instead of Pi Supply, which is more hobbyist and maker space. So just to give you an idea of why there's two separate brands. So this is one of our first products under the Nebra brand, which is, as it says, an outdoor waterproof IP67 rated case. So let me just get it out of the box here. So that's the case. Now you can see it's got quite a lot of inputs and outputs. So I think it's got 5 N-type holes, 4 M10 and an M20. So if I just undo this here, it also comes with a bunch of mounting hardware. So this enables you to mount it on a pole. It comes with these gaskets and seals, which I'll just put to one side for a second. And then you can see inside it's got this mounting plate, which you can drill or use to mount certain things onto, sensors or whatever else you want to put in there. So in itself, a really good outdoor waterproof case, and you can use it for literally any project. Now, the neat thing is that we have this board here, which we call the IP67 Gateway Hat mounting board. Now, I'll just show you quickly because I'm running out of time, but if we take this board out of its bag, this board sits really nicely in this case. So with the mounting hardware, you can attach that in there, and there's Raspberry Pi headers. So you can plug in a Raspberry Pi, you can plug in the Gateway Hat, and you can get up and running with a gateway, an outdoor gateway, for, again, super cheap and super quickly. That's the kind of idea behind all of our products. You'll start to think there's a bit of a theme here. So yeah, that's the IP67 board. You can have the Raspberry Pi and 3 hats. So you can put the Gateway Hat on there, and then you can have other hats as well, just to add functionality, add sensors, add any extra functionality that you want to add. So on that note, we've got the PiJuice Zero and the Pi PoE switch. These can be paired with that gateway mounting board to enable battery power and UPS backup. And with the PoE switch hat, you can enable power over Ethernet power for the whole setup as well. So for somewhere in the region of about £200, you'd be able to set up a battery-backed, PoE-powered gateway hat based around the Raspberry Pi, all in this IP67 case, and you've got a really nice outdoor gateway system ready to go. So that's those. And then last but not least, we've got the Ethernet pass-through cable. And again, this can be paired with the PoE hat, and it can mount onto the bottom of this board, screws into place, and sorry, that way around, and you've got Ethernet pass-through for your case. So that's that one. And then again, we've got the N-type bulkhead adapter cable there. That can work with the IPEX connector, the UFL IPEX connector on the gateway hat for the external antenna. And again, using it with one of these bulkhead holes, you can just pop that through and you can have an external glass fiber antenna or something like that on the outside of the case. So that's all from me. I'll wrap things up, but thanks very much for watching. As I said, I'll put all info and links and documentation into the video description. And yeah, if you've got any questions, feel free to email us. It's sales@pi-supply.com, and we'll be happy to help. Thanks for watching.